Is Jesus connected to the most ancient spiritual tradition in the world, the religion of the sun? That's the question I set out to answer in my new book, Jesus and the Religion of the Sun, which has just been published. If you're a subscriber here, I'm sorry I've been away from the channel for a while. I've needed to focus on researching and writing a number of books. I will get back to the channel once I finish up with what I feel is some really important work. As part of that work, about 2 years ago, I started on a personal quest to find out who Jesus was. This is such an important question to answer, whether you're a Christian or not, because he's at the heart of the biggest religion in the world, which has impacted culture and history enormously. What I think makes my investigation different is that I'm looking at Jesus as someone who has studied ancient religions for more than 15 years as a practitioner. I didn't set out to prove or disprove anything. I simply wanted to know who Jesus was based on real historical evidence. My investigation led me through twist after turn to answer the incredible enigma of why Jesus shares so many similarities with ancient sun gods, and why Christianity contains elements of ancient sun worship. I found the answer to be profound, and it's had a real impact on my own personal understanding. It's helped me to understand the nature of reality more deeply, a reality that has been symbolized by sun gods around the world and came to be by Jesus, a reality that in ancient Greece was called the Logos and was a central concept in ancient religion. But that's at the end of my search. I had to start at the beginning, at the most basic point, which is, did Jesus exist? Most historical scholars agree he did, as there are multiple independent sources that corroborate he was a real person. Already for me, that shot down the mythicist argument, which is that Jesus was made up by recycling the myths of pagan gods. So now we're in far more interesting territory, because we have real people and real events to consider. The next step was to find out about his birth and family life, and I was surprised to learn that rather than being born of a virgin impregnated by God, there is good evidence his conception was controversial, even scandalous. The controversy continued, because as it turns out, he practiced a kind of Judaism which was effectively persecuted out of existence, and that's very different from the rabbinical Judaism of today. And this is something hardly anyone knows about. It's likely why Jesus was called a Nazarene, and helps to explain why he was so at odds with the Pharisees of the Jerusalem temple. Many believe Jesus was different because he was really some kind of yogi or mystic. I followed all those leads to see if Jesus traveled to India, Egypt, Britain, or even the Americas during his lost years. All of those turned up empty, and some of the claims are based on major frauds that have misled millions of people. I go through the evidence, which I think lays those claims to rest. Instead, I moved on to consider the more realistic possibilities that Jesus was an Essene or a Gnostic. Again, so many people believe Jesus was, and I explore these ancient groups in depth. As part of this, I looked at whether Jesus gave secret teachings, and this was very surprising because someone did, but it probably wasn't Jesus. It was the author of the Gospel of Mark. This is the oldest gospel, which shaped Christianity based on pagan mysteries from the outset, yet most Christians have no idea. There are so many other things I explored. For example, there's quite a lot of evidence to support that Jesus was a vegetarian and against animal sacrifice. It's common to hear people talk about the idea of Christ consciousness, and although this is typically seen as something New Age, I did find an ancient concept very similar to it that Jesus himself may have believed. Something even more surprising was learning that Jesus may have practiced what could be described as magic. So few people notice that Jesus performed some of his miracles in the Gospels using ancient magical practices, which reveals a side to Jesus that is almost completely unknown. I looked at the central claim of Christianity, which is the resurrection of Jesus. Did it really happen, or was it staged? Or did Jesus attain what's called a rainbow body of light in Tibetan Buddhism? I tried to bring everything to the table and explore it based on evidence. Then there is the Turin Shroud, which is the most studied artifact in the world, believed by many Christians to be proof of Jesus' resurrection. After looking at the evidence, I disagree, but I'd say the most plausible explanation for it is absolutely incredible in its own way. The best evidence, in my opinion, shows that how the Turin Shroud was produced and who produced it is simply extraordinary. Then finally, why does Christianity end up incorporating sun symbols and aspects from ancient pagan sun gods? After working through the evidence, I put forward what I believe is a reasonable explanation, which I think could help explain the origins of Christianity in a new way that takes into account the impact the ancient religion of the sun had on shaping it and how it still forms one of its core concepts. And that's what I hope to contribute. I really enjoyed working on this book, which was such an exciting journey of discovery. Through the work of some excellent scholars, I got to learn the origins of so much about Jesus I'd always taken for granted. That's the journey I essentially take the reader on throughout the book, which follows my own personal exploration to find the answers to so many mysteries about Christianity and its interaction with ancient religion. If you're interested in the book, there'll be a link to find out more in the description below. To explore more about the similarities between ancient religions and Christianity, I recommend watching my video on the history of the winter solstice, which you can find linked on screen. I'm already working on other books, so I've got more in the pipeline. I'll see you in the next video update. Till then, wishing you much light from the Logos, the spiritual sun.